We spend our entire lives chasing a financial mirage, conditioned by a culture that treats a specific net worth like the ultimate video game checkpoint. We are told that once our balance sheet flips to 7 figures, some cosmic switch will flip, the sky will part, and an overwhelming sense of absolute safety will wash over us. But the reality of crossing that line is profoundly, almost hilariously underwhelming. You wake up, you check your accounts, you see the comma and the extra zeros, and then your dog still needs to go out, your inbox is still full of passive-aggressive corporate emails, and the milk in the fridge is still expiring tomorrow. The world does not throw a parade for your financial survival, and the psychological letdown can be incredibly jarring if you spent decades believing that money would magically cure your internal existential dread. This anticlimax is not just a personal quirk but a hardwired feature of human psychology backed by massive troves of behavioral data. Look at the numbers from major financial institutions and the Federal Reserve, which consistently show that as people accumulate more, their definition of what constitutes safety simply morphs and recedes into the horizon. If you have nothing, $100,000 looks like wealth. If you have $1 million, the magic security blanket suddenly requires $3 million or $5 million. We are trapped on a hedonic treadmill where expectations scale proportionally with our resources, meaning that many households with massive balance sheets report feeling just as financially fragile and anxious as those scraping by. True financial peace can never be solved by an external math problem because the human brain is an absolute expert at moving the goalposts the second it touches the ball. If you spend even 5 minutes scrolling through modern media, you will be bombarded by a very specific, highly performative brand of wealth culture. The narrative insists that becoming rich requires a toxic cocktail of 24/7 grinding, hyper-aggressive leverage, high-stakes day trading, and a mandatory 4 in the morning ice bath routine. But when you look at actual demographic data and long-term economic studies tracking self-made individuals, the reality is beautifully, aggressively boring. The vast majority of people who successfully build sustainable wealth are not tech disruptors or reckless risk-takers. They are ordinary professionals who mastered the unsexy art of routine consistency. They maximize their employer retirement matches, auto-invested into boring index funds month after month for 30 years, bought modest used cars, and stubbornly refused to upgrade their houses every time they got a promotion. The hardest part of this journey is undoubtedly the beginning, and understanding the mechanical physics of money explains exactly why so many people give up early. When you start from zero, every single dollar on your balance sheet represents raw, unadulterated physical labor. You're doing 100% of the heavy lifting, and compounding returns look like absolute pocket change. But there is a crucial tipping point, usually around that first $100,000, where the internal engine of wealth begins to fire up. Once you establish a real baseline of assets, the mathematics of compound interest shift from an abstract theory into a secondary salary that works while you sleep. A modest annual return on a small pile of money barely pays for groceries, but that same percentage on a mid-six-figure portfolio matches a median household income without you ever lifting a finger, transforming wealth from a grueling uphill climb into an accelerating downhill snowball. One of the most dangerous conflations in modern economic life is the assumption that a high income automatically equates to wealth. The world is filled with high-earning individuals making multiple six figures who are living in a state of perpetual financial terror because their lifestyle inflation perfectly matches or exceeds their earning power. True wealth is not what you bring in and immediately spend on premium subscriptions, luxury vehicles, and frequent fine dining. Wealth is the quiet, invisible gap between what you earn and what you consume. A person making a modest salary who consistently carves out a chunk to invest automatically will inevitably outpace a high-flying earner who consumes every dime of their massive paycheck to maintain an illusion of status. Far from delivering total emotional liberation, accumulating significant capital introduces a completely new suite of psychological anxieties that catch most people off guard. When you have a small portfolio, a market correction is a minor annoyance. When you have 7 figures on the line, that same percentage drop represents a terrifying loss equal to years of human labor, making market volatility feel emotionally crushing. Furthermore, wealth attracts systemic complexity, pulling you into a world of complex asset allocations, tax optimization, estate planning, and a constant defensiveness against losing what you spent a lifetime building. Behavioral finance proves that loss aversion makes the pain of losing money far more intense than the joy of gaining it, meaning the emotional labor of managing your mind actually amplifies as your net worth grows. Perhaps the most painful aspect of this transition is the way financial success acts as a volatile chemical agent in your personal relationships, completely altering the behavior of the people around you. Money functions as a massive magnifying glass that brings latent character flaws in your social circle into sharp, uncomfortable focus. You will find that some friends suddenly view you as a utility or a transactional resource rather than a human being, expecting financial bailouts or jobs based purely on proximity rather than merit. It is deeply isolating to realize that people you have known for years stop seeing your shared history and instead view you merely as a walking tax basis or an economic safety net, forcing you to radically tighten your inner circle to protect your own mental well-being. Ultimately, the secret weapon of the truly wealthy is not an aggressive offensive strategy, but a hyper-vigilant defense designed to avoid catastrophic self-destruction. Lasting financial independence belongs to the people who simply stay in their lane, ignore the noise, and master the art of not blowing up their own progress through reckless leverage, panic selling during market downturns, or ruinous lifestyle creep. True prosperity requires you to decouple your sense of security from an arbitrary number on a screen, automate the boring mechanics of investing so human emotion cannot interfere, and quietly build a private life insulated from the performative madness of the world. Building wealth is absolutely a journey worth taking for the freedom it provides, but you must be prepared for the quiet, lonely, and complicated reality of actually winning the game.